Inside every living whale are two records of a life its ancestors abandoned. The first is a pair of small pelvic bones, buried in muscle and no longer joined to the spine as a weight-bearing hip. The second is hidden inside each flipper. Beneath the skin lie an upper arm, a forearm, a wrist, and 5 digits, the same basic limb pattern carried by other four-limbed vertebrates. These are not decorative leftovers. The pelvis still anchors muscles associated with the reproductive organs, while the reshaped hand supports a steering surface. Evolution retained both structures but reassigned their work. So the origin of whales is not a story about a fish becoming larger. It is the history of an air-breathing, warm-blooded mammal whose ancestors walked on land. How did weight-bearing legs become almost invisible? Nostrils moved toward the top of the skull, and an ear designed for air become a detector of sound underwater. To answer that, we will trace the whale body backward through fossils that preserve different combinations of land and water adaptations. Living cetaceans include whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They divide into two major branches. Toothed whales, or Odontocetids, include sperm whales, beaked whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They hunt with teeth, and most use echolocation. Pulses of sound are produced in the head, focused through a fatty structure called the melon, and interpreted from returning echoes. Baleen whales, or Mysticetes, include blue, humpback, right, and gray whales. Instead of adult functional teeth, they carry keratin plates that strain prey from water. More than 90 living species occupy habitats from rivers to every ocean. Their sizes range from porpoises little longer than a person to the blue whale, the largest animal known. Yet all share the same basic aquatic compromise. They breathe through lungs, nurse live young, maintain a high body temperature, and must surface for air. Their forelimbs steer. A muscular tail ending in horizontal flukes provides thrust. The hind limbs have disappeared externally, and the spine bends mainly up and down rather than side to side. That last detail matters. Fish inherited swimming bodies built around lateral bending. Whales entered the water with a mammalian spine already used in vertical flexion during running. Their swimming stroke is therefore not a copy of a fish. It is a land mammal's motion, transferred into water and amplified through the tail. Tracing backward first reaches archaic whales that were completely marine, but did not yet belong to either living branch. Around 37 to 34 million years ago, Basilosaurids such as Dorodon and Basilosaurus inhabited warm seas across much of the world. Their long skulls, streamlined bodies, flipper-like forelimbs, and powerful tails made them unmistakably whales. The pelvis, however, still carried tiny articulated hind limbs. Those legs could not support the animal on land. In Basilosaurus, they were far too small compared with a body that could exceed 15 meters. They may have retained a role during mating, but their locomotor career was effectively over. The pelvis was no longer firmly connected to the vertebral column, releasing the trunk for efficient swimming. The forelimb had also changed jobs. Its elbow was restricted, and elongated finger bones stiffened the limb into a hydrofoil rather than a paw. Basilosaurid vertebrae and the shape of the tail region support propulsion by vertical undulation, and at least some members carried flukes. Meanwhile, the skull shows nostrils shifted backward from the tip of the snout, though not yet to the modern position on top of the head. This was a fully aquatic body assembled from altered mammalian parts. Hearing reveals an equally important transition. Modern cetaceans isolate the ear region acoustically from the skull, helping each ear receive sound independently underwater. Dense ear bones and specialized fat pathways transmit vibrations. Basilosaurids show a much more modern arrangement than earlier amphibious whales. Movement into the sea was therefore not completed merely when feet stopped touching the bottom. Sensory systems had to be rebuilt as well. By this stage, birth also had to occur in water. A fully marine whale could not haul its body onto shore to deliver a calf. Living cetaceans usually give birth tail first, reducing the time a calf's head is exposed before delivery is complete. Fossils do not reveal exactly when that orientation became standard, but an older whale preserves the earlier condition. One step farther back are Protocetids, a diverse group living roughly 49 to 37 million years ago. They were not one neat halfway animal. Different branches combined swimming, walking, and marine feeding in different proportions. Their fossils appear across Africa, Asia, North America, and South America, documenting a rapid expansion beyond the region where the earliest whales are known. Pakicetus, described from Peru in 2019, captures that combination. About 4 meters long, it had a powerful tail and limbs suited to swimming, yet fingers and toes ending in small hooves remained. Its pelvis was attached to the spine, and its feet could still interact with the ground. Finding such an animal on the Pacific side of South America shows that four-legged whales dispersed across major stretches of ocean before losing the capacity to move on land. This is an important correction to the usual picture. Long-distance marine travel did not wait for a body like Basilosaurus. Protocetids crossed open water using an amphibious design. Their geographic spread suggests that coastal travel and ocean currents opened routes while functional hind limbs were still present. Pakicetus from Pakistan adds reproduction to the story. Two relatively complete skeletons were described in 2009, including an adult associated with a near-term fetus positioned head first. Head-first birth is usual for land mammals, whereas living whales normally deliver tail first. The interpretation that this specimen was a pregnant female has been questioned by later researchers, so it should not be treated as an uncontested snapshot. Even so, the adult anatomy clearly preserves a pelvis attached to the sacrum and limbs capable of supporting some weight. Protocetids had not uniformly severed their dependence on land. Their teeth and oxygen isotopes offer another view. The teeth are still differentiated into incisors, canines, premolars, and molars, unlike the more uniform teeth of many living toothed whales. Chemical signals locked in tooth enamel can reflect the water an animal consumed. Across early whale groups, these isotopes record a shift from freshwater or mixed water histories toward marine conditions. Bones show what a limb could do. Chemistry helps reveal where the animal actually lived. Farther back, the body becomes less familiar. Remingtonocetids lived around the Middle Eocene along the shores of the ancient Tethys Ocean. Many had long, narrow snouts, small eyes, and dense limb bones. Their proportions suggest strong swimming ability, probably driven substantially by the hind limbs and trunk. While their weight-bearing capacity on land was limited, the dense bones acted as ballast. That sounds inefficient for a fast open-ocean swimmer, but it helps an animal remain submerged in shallow water, much as heavy skeletons do in living hippos and manatees. At this stage, the problem was not crossing an ocean at speed. It was controlling buoyancy while hunting near coasts and river mouths. Their ears were changing too. The ear region of cetaceans carries a diagnostic thickening called the involucrum, found even in the earliest known whales. In later aquatic forms, the lower jaw became part of the sound reception system. A channel in the jaw housed fat that could conduct sound toward the middle ear. Remingtonocetids and other early whales preserve intermediate arrangements, showing that underwater hearing developed in stages rather than appearing with the first aquatic skeleton. Temperature control imposed another timetable. Water removes body heat far faster than air, so prolonged immersion rewards insulation and a body shape with less surface area relative to its volume. Soft tissues rarely fossilize, which prevents us from assigning a neat date to the origin of blubber. Even so, the increasing size, marine range, and reduced external limbs of later whales are consistent with a body becoming less vulnerable to heat loss. Modern cetaceans complete the solution with thick subcutaneous fat and countercurrent heat exchange in exposed appendages. Breathing changed without abandoning the ancestral lung. Early whales still carried nostrils near the front of the snout. Across later skulls, the nasal opening shifts progressively backward, shortening the distance an aquatic animal must lift its head to inhale. The blowhole on a living whale is the endpoint of extensive skull remodeling, not a new organ. It remains connected to lungs that impose a permanent rhythm of descent and return. The shoreline was not crossed once. Locomotion, balance, hearing, breathing, and reproduction release their dependence on land at different times. Ambulocetus, from rocks in Pakistan about 48 million years old, makes that uneven transition visible. Its name means walking whale, and the skeleton justifies it. The animal was roughly 3 meters long, with large hind feet, powerful limbs, and a flexible spine. It could bear weight on land, probably awkwardly. While in water, it likely propelled itself with its feet and vertical flexion of the back. At first glance, Ambulocetus resembles a crocodile more than a whale. The ear gives away its identity. Its skull carries cetacean specializations, while the robust limbs show that it remained amphibious. Isotope evidence indicates that it used both fresh and salty water. It was not a miniature modern whale waiting to lose its legs. It was a successful shoreline predator with its own functional balance. Nearby in evolutionary grade, taxa such as Pakicetus and Andrewsiphius explored elongated bodies and reduced limbs. Whether everyone sits on the exact line leading to living whales is less important than the pattern they record. Early cetaceans were branching into multiple semi-aquatic forms, and natural selection worked on immediate advantages, catching prey, controlling buoyancy, swimming farther, not toward a predetermined blue whale. The trail now reaches Pakicetus, known from Pakistan and dated to around 50 million years ago. Reconstructions based only on its first skull once made it appear almost entirely mysterious. More complete remains revealed a long-legged animal about the size of a wolf or large dog. It could walk and run on land. Its eyes sat high on the skull, and its teeth suggest a predator feeding near water. Why call it a whale? Again, the decisive clues are not its silhouette. The ear region contains the cetacean involucrum, and features of the skull connect it with later archaeocetes. Pakicetus represents an early branch near the base of whale evolution, not a proven direct parent of Ambulocetus or any living species. Its hearing was still poorly suited to the directional underwater system of modern whales. Sound may have reached the ear partly through bone conduction, and the skull lacked the full acoustic isolation seen later. Its ankle and limbs remained terrestrial. The important transition here is ecological before it is spectacularly anatomical. A land-capable mammal was feeding in or beside aquatic environments, creating repeated opportunities for selection to favor swimming and underwater sensing. Indohyus, a small deer-like relative from Eocene India, pushes the comparison just outside Cetacea. It had dense limb bones, consistent with spending time in water, perhaps as an escape strategy, and aspects of its teeth and ear region resemble those of early whales. Most analyses place it among rowelids, close relatives of cetaceans rather than a whale itself. It offers a plausible picture of the broader ancestral neighborhood, small, even-toed mammals already moving between land and water. I would not turn Indohyus into the ancestor of whales. Fossil species are usually side branches. Its value is that it shows how an aquatic habit and whale-like anatomy could begin before the body looked remotely whale-shaped. For much of the 20th century, whale teeth seemed to link cetaceans with extinct hoofed predators called mesonychians. Molecular studies then produced a different result. DNA consistently placed whales inside the even-toed ungulates, the group containing pigs, camels, deer, cattle, and hippos. More specifically, living hippos are the closest living relatives of cetaceans. The fossil test came from the ankle. Even-toed ungulates possess a distinctive astragalus with pulley-like surfaces at both ends. In 2001, newly described ankle bones from early whales showed the same double pulley design. Anatomy and molecules now pointed in the same broad direction. Whales were not merely related to hoofed mammals, they were deeply nested among them. This does not mean whales evolved from modern hippos. The two lineages share an older common ancestor, and the hippo fossil record has its own long, incomplete history. Hippos appear much later than the earliest whales. Similar aquatic traits in the two groups may combine inherited tendencies with independent specialization. The name Cetartiodactyla is often used for the combined radiation. It captures one of evolution's most striking consequences. A dolphin is more closely related to a cow than either is to a horse. Classification follows ancestry, even when 50 million years of adaptation have disguised the relationship. The fossil sequence is unusually rich, but it is not complete or perfectly linear. Ages overlap. Some early whales, known from fragmentary remains, shift position when new analyses add characters or taxa. Locomotion is reconstructed from joint shape, muscle attachment, bone density, and comparison with living animals, none of which records behavior as directly as a film. Even famous details require calibration. A small pelvis can indicate loss of weight-bearing function, but its remaining role must be inferred. A tail vertebra can support the presence of flukes without preserving the soft flukes themselves. Tooth isotopes can distinguish broad water sources, yet local climate and physiology complicate interpretation. The first fossil displaying a trait is also only its first known occurrence, not the moment the trait originated. Missing link is therefore the wrong model. Pakicetus did not simply transform into Ambulocetus, then Myocetus, then Basilosaurus in a single-file march. These names represent branches sampling successive combinations of features. Taken together, they narrow the functional gaps. Terrestrial feet with a whale ear, amphibious limbs with spinal swimming, ocean-crossing feet, detached pelvis and tail propulsion, then the specialized hearing and feeding systems of crowned cetaceans. After Basilosaurids, the story continued. By roughly 34 million years ago, early members of the modern cetacean radiation were separating into toothed and baleen branches. Some early mysticetes retained teeth before baleen-based filtering became dominant. Odontocetes evolved the specialized sound production and reception systems that support echolocation. These later radiations created the living diversity, but the decisive land-to-sea threshold had already been crossed. From the earliest cetaceans near 50 million years ago to fully aquatic basilosaurids around 40 million years ago, the central transition unfolded in roughly 10 million years. That is rapid on a geological scale, yet it was long enough for many branches to test different compromises between shore and sea. No single innovation made a whale. Feet first became paddles and then disappeared from locomotion. The pelvis detached. The spine and tail took over propulsion. Nostrils migrated backward. The ear gained an underwater pathway. Reproduction finally became independent of land. Later, baleen and echolocation opened entirely new ways to feed. The tiny pelvic bones inside a living whale are therefore more than remnants of legs. They are the last visible punctuation in a long transfer of function. A body inherited from land was not discarded. Bone by bone, system by system, it was reassigned to the ocean.